episode of Cooking Up Claire, my cooking show that will hopefully help you brush up in the kitchen, allow me to grow my cooking skills, and give us a community to learn from each other. Today, we are making one of my favorite vegetables because you get to eat it with butter, artichokes. It is so delicious, it is surprisingly simple, and I feel like it kind of goes with the theme. It's like, it sounds fancy, but it's really not. It's really, really easy for you to do. So we are working with just a few ingredients as per usual. Obviously, we've got said artichoke. It is very important to find some that are good and fresh. I actually found a 4-pack at Trader Joe's that was shockingly inexpensive. So if you're kind of trying to do this on a budget, like maybe you're having a few people over and you need to make a lot, that is an awesome option. I also have some good olive oil, and then I also have a little bit of lemon, a ton of garlic, which is going to come into play a little bit later, and then I've got some other spices and that sort of stuff coming up. So without any further ado, why don't we just jump into it? I'm going to pick up this artichoke. He's a little bit more handsome. Oh gosh, oh no, I'm sorry. He's a little more handsome, so I'm willing to mess this little guy up. And we are going to want to cut a little bit of the stem. So this begins kind of the cleaning process. So you're gonna wanna cut just about right there, and I'll go ahead and give that a chop. Try to cut it straight if you can. It makes it just look a little nicer. And then this is that part that I'm just gonna chunk, like I said. The next thing I'm going to want to do is just kind of cut off the tip here. These aren't too bad, but sometimes you can get some fresh artichokes that are really pointy on the end. And so if you are cooking this for some friends or something, you don't want them to accidentally stab themselves. That would probably ruin any good dinner. So you're just going to want to give that guy a trim. Put a little gusto in it. There you go. And you can see it's just kind of cutting off right there. And again, you're just going to want to chunk all that. So then from here, what we're going to want to do is remove some of these outer leaves. These are not going to have as much meat on them, which means it's not going to taste as good, which means you're just kind of wasting your cooking time on them. So I'm just going to, you just can pull them off. It's pretty simple. Just give that guy a yank. Give it a yank. Now, while you're doing this, you want your oven to be preheating. I have mine going at 400 right now because as soon as we're done with this, you're going to want to stick it in. And these will take maybe an hour max to cook. We're going to do kind of a covered, uncovered process, or other way around, uncovered then covered process, just to give it kind of a little bit of time to get some color on it, but then also time to steam. So I'm feeling good about this. You can kind of see all of these are starting to be a little thicker, a little happier. You can see there's some color there. These guys are looking really good. I've got one little extra leaf there. So from here, what you're going to want to do is just chop this guy right in half. And you've kind of got to put a little energy into it, but it should just pop right down the middle. There we go. There we go. Okay. So once you open it, you're going to get this really kind of crazy looking cross section. And it's purple in the middle. Then you've got kind of this weird, I don't even know, it looks like fuzz kind of on the bottom middle. And then you've got all of these really good leaves around the edge. Now, if you don't know, an artichoke is actually a flower bud. All of this purple and all of these little things turn into a really pretty purple flower that pops out the top. This is just before you get to that point. Brett, throw some pictures of the flower in there. You've got this. So what we're going to want to do is just kind of pull out all of this gunk in the middle. And the best way that I have found to do that is with a spoon. So first, I usually pull out as much as I can with my fingers. So basically up until you stop seeing that purple. Yank it out. There you go. Gotta put some elbow grease in. So once you have all of that gunk left, that's where the spoon comes into place. You want to try and rip as much of that out as you can. So I'll kind of move this over just so that you can see. And I just kind of get way down in there with that spoon and just kind of pull it out. I know that some people like to roast their artichokes whole. They kind of like that aesthetic of it being a whole big thing. But I will say this is significantly easier to clean your artichoke. The amount of times that I have gotten to the bottom of an artichoke and then it's been gunky and kind of icky and furry. I don't know. It's weird. It's gross. It's not a pleasant experience. And if it's a first-time artichoke eater, they are not going to love that. Okay, so I actually am done cleaning this one. It is all cleaned out, and you can kind of see there's like this weird padding at the bottom, which is actually called the heart of the artichoke. If you've ever had like marinated artichokes, that's actually like what it is, and it is so good whenever it's cooked the way that we're going to cook it today. So I'm going to set this one aside and jump on the other one. And again, we're just going to use that same tactic, get all the purple stuff out that you can. I've made a giant mess over here, but I have finished my artichoke. So both of them can kind of look, they're both done. It's kind of like an avocado. There's some browning if you wait just like a moment, which I'm doing because I'm doing both of these. So I grabbed just a little bowl, and what I'm going to combine now is kind of all the things that are going to go on top of the artichoke. So I am using my base as olive oil, and I'm just going to give that a good little drizzle. You don't want to hold back on this. You're going to use a decent amount, but it'll make sure that it tastes really, really good and fresh and tasty. Next, I'm going to grab a lemon, and a fun trick if you're going to juice a lemon is just kind of give it a roll and a squeeze. It just loosens everything up a little bit. It helps you from getting that like weird, like, I don't know, where you squeeze a lemon and you're like, is this dry? Is it old? Like, what's going on? Just kind of gets everything moving. Okay, and I'm going to grab that cutting board back out. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. That guy over here. And just chop it in half. And then I'm going to take my ring off because what I like to do is kind of cut my hand and cover it. That way if any seeds fall out, I can catch them. So I'm just going to do that. Make sure to get, oh yeah, artichokes love lemon. Okay, so that's probably like a maybe 50-50, maybe a little bit less lemon juice than the oil, but it's a really good combination. And from here, I'm going to add just a few other little spices that I've got kind of tucked away. So the first is going to be some red pepper flake. I like to add a little heat. I know Brett's not a huge fan, so I won't get too crazy. Just like a little pinch, maybe a little bit more than that. There we go. It's fine. He'll be fine, right? Oh God, hello. That's karma. That's karma for putting too much heat in there. And next what I'm gonna grab is some salt. Now I'm gonna make a point to tell you that this is flaky sea salt. This is the Malden brand. And I really love this brand. I like it because it's kind of a finishing salt. It has a little more of a like salty flavor, but it's not overly aggressive. It's just a really, really good salt. So I highly recommend this one. I'm just gonna add a pinch here, but you just kind of want to give that some salt, give it a little love. And then from here, we're good to go. I'm gonna get a little whisk and I'm gonna get my little paintbrush and then we can keep going from there. I'll be right back. Okay, we are back. So I have gotten out my lined baking sheet. This is about to go in the oven, so I just kind of wanted to get that ready. And I have grabbed my little paintbrush. Again, this is a food-safe paintbrush, so very important. And I'm just going to give this a little swirl, make sure it gets a little mixed in. Okay, get that over to the side, get this here. Now what we're going to do is stick these artichokes right on here. And I am going to take this and kind of like brush it. And this you want to get all up in those nooks and crannies. You want to get kind of all up the side here. You just want to get all the way everywhere. Be liberal. Did you see how much I made? I want to use all of it if I possibly can. Okay, so now we have kind of doused our artichokes, and this is where the garlic comes in. So I actually learned this trick from someone on Pinterest. I will try and find their link so that I can link it below. But what they did is they actually took their garlic and they put it inside the artichoke. So this kind of makes this little pocket where you can roast the garlic. And then you're going to kind of want to just give it a little flip. Try and keep all that garlic deep down in there. Same thing with this guy. And we are going to cook this uncovered for 15 minutes, and then we'll jump back in, cover it up with some foil, and throw it in for a little bit more. So we'll be right back when we get to that step. And we are back about halfway through the cooking process. So these have been in for 15 minutes at 400 uncovered. And I am going to wrap them with foil now so they get a little bit more steam action. And that way they're a little bit softer. If you kind of feel them, they're a little crunchy right now. It's not exactly what we want. And we are just going to, very carefully, because this is a very hot pan, get these guys wrapped. Just tight enough to where no steam's gonna be escaping. And throw these back in. And I usually will put them back in for about 30 minutes. These are actually smaller than my normal ones, so I might take them out a little bit earlier. Just kind of gauge it based on how they're feeling at this point in the cooking process. I'm going to be right back. And we're back, and these guys have been in the oven for me, since they're a little bit smaller, about, I think, 15 minutes. But always just kind of gauge based on your own oven and the own size of your artichoke and all that sort of good stuff. I'd say probably somewhere between like 15 and 30 and you're going to be there. So I am going to unveil them. Oh, that sounded weird. And we are looking at some very beautiful cooked artichokes. You can see they have kind of softened up. They're a little bit softer. And they smell like, I wish y'all could smell this. They smell phenomenal. All right, so we are back. We have all of our elements brought together. Our roasted garlic aioli. We've got our roasted artichokes, which are looking superb. And all that's left is to try it. If you've never had an artichoke before, here's how you eat it. Basically, you're just going to want to rip off one of the outer leaves. And I usually go from outside in. I guess you could go inside out, but I feel like that would be a little bit complicated. You do you, though. And then you can kind of see there's all this fatty bit right here. That's the meat, and that's what you're going to want to eat. You don't want to eat the whole leaf. It's not going to taste very good. So from there, you just kind of dip it in whatever your sauce is, and then run it against your teeth and pull all that off. That's really good. This is really, really good. It's super citrusy, which I love. It has kind of that like French taste to it. And then that roasted garlic gives it a really smoky flavor. It's like, it really balances well with all that lemon so that you're not feeling like it's just a summer meal or just like a spring meal. You can eat this really year round and it's going to taste perfect for everything. All right, guys, and that is it. This is one of my favorite vegetable recipes. I know it's kind of a cheating vegetable because there's not a lot of stuff there, but it is delicious, and I really hope that you give it a try. If you give it a try, don't forget to tag me on Instagram and Facebook at Cooking Up Claire. And don't forget to hit the subscription and the notification bell below. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, or if you just want me to try something in particular, make sure to leave that in the comment box below. So with all that, I'll see you next time on Cooking Up Claire.